Hi, I'm Peter Birch and welcome to my channel. Today guys, I want to talk about snake skins. That's right, snake skins. If you're new to my channel, welcome guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification button to continue to join the adventure. For the rest of us guys, let's get down to it and enjoy snake skins. Welcome to CrittaCam. So today's topic guys is shedding, better known as ecdysis. Now that is a mouthful at the best of times. So we often refer to it as shedding or molting, and basically that's when the animals are disposing of their old clothes and making way for their new clothes in a very simple term. So basically they're shedding the old skin, making way for the new layer of skin to be exposed. So how does the whole process happen? Well, basically as the animals mature, it can go through multiple different levels. So if they're baby snakes, like these guys, so I've got some baby snakes here, and when these guys are eating at a consistent rate, being kept nice and warm, what typically tends to happen is that they shed on a consistent timing. So these guys, like every 4 to 5 weeks, will go through a shed cycle, and that's simply because the animals are growing and they're outgrowing their skin, so they need to shed the old skin to make way for the new skin that's below. And as you can see that if you're feeding multiple animals at the same time, they all typically shed around the same time, and there's a couple right there that have all shed around the same time. Now anyone who knows me really knows how much I really hate or despise shed skin. Now shed skins can be very annoying at the best of times. So basically when the animals are shedding their skins, you can imagine it's like a bit of a massage, and 9 times out of 10 they release their bowels, which is okay because that's what they've got to do. They've got to go to the toilet occasionally, and if you're really lucky they'll go to the toilet in their skin, which makes it so much easier. You can just scoop that up and drop it straight in the bin. But the annoying thing with shed skins that I've found is when they're moist, just after they've come off the body and been shed in a complete piece. When they're moist, it can be quite dangerous. It can get stuck on the animals itself, and unfortunately numerous times I've had issues with that, where this is still moist and acts like a big wet cloth or glove basically, and can stick to the animal's face. Sometimes they get a little bit lost and they'll coil around, remove the shed, get a little bit confused, it can go back in the shed, and you can't breathe through this thing. It's like having a plastic bag over your head. So that's pretty scary. So with baby snakes, it's a consistent process. So as they get older and as they eat more, they outgrow their skin. So what can we learn from skins? So much. Now this process happens throughout their whole life, forever. So like I said, as babies, it could be every 5 to 6 weeks, maybe every 2 months, depending on the feeding regime and the temperatures. And as they get older, it'll tend to slow down. So older snakes will do this process probably 3 to 4 times a year. It's usually a seasonal thing. So as the seasons change, big adult animals will slow down and won't shed their skins as often. They usually shed going into winter and usually shed coming out. That's usually a given. And then probably 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 times in between after that. Now what can we learn about skins? Well, we've all seen my giant rough scale cage that I built. Absolutely amazing. Now, what have we learned by putting these guys in here? Well, quite simple. It's nice and dry and warm, which is what snakes want, right? But unfortunately, I think it's a little bit too dry, because what we're getting now is skins that are shedding, not in a complete piece. So it's a bit more fragmented, which means not only is there a lot more mess to clean up, but we need to bump up the humidity in this enclosure. So that's coming in the future guys. I'm going to show you what I've done to overcome the dryness in this enclosure and how I'm going to bump up the humidity and beat this problem. So we can learn a lot from shed skins. So, like I said, if it's too dry, the animals will tend to shed in multiple pieces. Of course, unless the animal that you've got that's shedding is a lizard. Now, lizards typically don't shed in a complete piece. Shingleback lizards come very close in a couple of pieces. Geckos, some geckos will shed in complete pieces, just like these guys. There's a couple of sheds just sitting right there. And like I said to you before, I'm not a big fan of skins. They sort of drive me a little bit nuts and blow out my OCD. Now, not all geckos will shed their skins. It's tricky, isn't it? Very tricky. Well, what I mean by that is that these geckos will shed their skins, and knobtail geckos will shed their skins, but then they'll eat the skin, which when you look at it from the outside, they never shed their skin. So it's quite confusing. Why do they do that? Well, a lot of amphibians and lizards will actually eat their skins to help replace some of the vitamins and minerals that they're missing in their diet. Now, I can't explain why they do it. Maybe it tastes really, really yummy, like a bit of bread or a bit of alphagetti or something like that. I don't know, a bit of nice pasta maybe. But they will eat their skins, so that's the crazy part. Now, turtles also shed. They shed the skin on their body, and they also shed their scutes. So that's those little pieces that make up the whole shell. They'll shed their scutes. So it gets a little bit confusing, right? I do apologise. But like I said, I've got a blue tongue down here that's in the process of shedding, right here. And as you can see, if we can pull her out, you can see that. Multiple pieces. So they will shed in chunks, but 90% of the time, there's 50 million little scales are going to be all through the cage just for you to be able to clean. So it's a growing process. Growing for me, growing to be a pain in the bottom. What else can we learn from skins, guys? So much. So shedding is a pretty important thing for a reptile's part of its journey. Not only reptiles, but also amphibians. Believe it or not, guys, even humans shed our skin. Sounds gross, right? But we shed it on a multiple different layer. So our cells are constantly being replaced, whereas reptiles don't have that ability. Now, here's another skin that just happened recently. Look what else we can learn from skins. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of poop in there, but more importantly, you can see the hemipenal, the sperm plug there from the hemipenes. That's pretty cool. So what does that mean, guys? This skin has come from a male snake. Well, it's correct. It's 100% correct. Now, another skin, another bit of poop, another thorn in my side. I really hate them skins. So the whole idea of shedding skins is pretty cool because, like I said before, we can learn so much from skins. And what can we learn? So much. So far we've learned good conditions make for clean, easy skins. Dry or slightly odd conditions, and even stress will cause animals to shed their skins in multiple different pieces, which can be confusing. Now, the actual scales on snakes is made up of keratin, so it's something very similar to our fingertips. Now, the act that our fingertips could shed is a bit mind-blowing, I know, I guess. But remember, when these snakes shed their skin, you know, they sort of rub the snout, pull the skins off, and what it does is it rolls backwards. So, in theory, guys, when a snake has shed its skin, the skin is inside out. True. So, the bigger the snake, obviously, the bigger the scales. And in a lot of instances, guys, the bigger the snake. So here's a snake shed from my girl Pippi, my big olive python. So we're going to quickly lay this out so you guys can see the length. Now, you shouldn't use the length of your shed skin as a measurement, because when it comes off it's quite elastic and it will stretch. So we can actually stretch this skin up to a third longer than what the snake actually is, which is quite remarkable. And I guess if you want to impress everyone, there's nothing wrong with having a giant snake skin. Now, other things that we can learn from skins, I've got a couple of skins here that I've prepared earlier, I shed them myself, is when you look at them, this one's got a bit of a pattern on it. So instantly you can start to get a little bit of appreciation of what's going on here. This one doesn't have a pattern as much, but there is a bit of a pattern in there. Very hard to find. And as you can see, Pippi's has none at all. But when a snake sheds its skin, it leaves behind so much information. We can look at this, we can do scale counts. So the art of scale counting is called scutellation. An absolute amazing thing where you count the different scales, and we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail some other time. We can identify the type of snake it is because we can count the scales. So if you've got a snake that's hanging around your house, you can't catch it, or you can't get a snake catcher to catch it, but you find a skin, we can identify what type of snake that is. So shed skins, guys, can contain so much information. I don't know where to start. You know, like the whole technique of scutellation, like I said, scale counting is very important, especially when it comes to shed skins as well as live animals. Now, like I said, I can't stand shed skins. They drive me nuts because, like I said, I've had a lot of problems and I don't like them. And unfortunately, I've gone to a lot of people's collections and it sort of drives me a little bit batty. I guess it's my OCD a lot with a few other things. So I did skip over those couple of carpet pythons with shed skins. I'm going right back to them now because my OCD is killing me. Make sure you give me a like for the show, guys. Hit me up Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Until next time, guys, I'm going to go through and pull these snake skins because they're driving me nuts. Thanks for watching CrittaCam.